Bom, a gente vai iniciar agora a nossa sessão da tarde de palestras e começar com a palestra do Johan sobre Decision Making para processos de inovação. Tá ok? Johan?
Hello, could somebody put my presentation up? Great, thanks so much. Thanks so much. Hello, thank you so much for being here at this part of the exhibition hall or the venue. I'd like to talk to you about the concept of serious gaming today. Most of the times my presentations, like dinner, start with dessert. So the takeaway from this talk is basically that serious gaming, in my humble opinion, is a very interesting tool, let's say, to facilitate open innovation, as it has been discussed this morning by different presenters. So this is a cartoon of, let's say, an innovative process from a cooperative perspective, and maybe you recognize this. So this guy is having a great idea, right? So what he's doing, he's going to his management and tell about his idea. And then the management is, of course, shouting out loud that the company is innovative. And then he brings in, let's say, a couple of people. They bring in, let's say, an expert team. And they start about talking, let's say, the system boundaries, the figures, etc., etc. And then the innovator is giving, let's say, the leftovers, so to speak, and he can fill in the blanks. And out of there comes an innovation, maybe a new product feature, maybe a new functionality of a part of a system. Everybody is happy except for the innovator. Right? So what we do, we take a different approach. If somebody comes in and has an idea or is facing, let's say, a very complex or a wicked problem, we start to bring in all different kind of stakeholders, all the stakeholders that are relevant, let's say, to think about the problem and to think about the solutions. So that could be the end user, that could be a practitioner, that could be an expert, could be people from academia, even people from the government. So everybody who is, let's say, relevant to solving that problem is invited. What we then do is we provide those people the tools. We give them the canvas, we give them the paint, we give them the brushes. So they are able to come up, let's say, with all different kind of scenarios, all different kind of aspects of the problem, all different kind of aspects of the solution. And then we do our serious gaming. We build every information, let's say, in a gaming model, and people start playing around with all those solutions against a set of criteria. So it's a kind of multi-criteria analysis, a what-if kind of analysis, what's going on here. And we do that also, let's say, in a virtual environment, and out of there comes an innovation which you didn't expect before. So that's what we do. We bring people around the table, multi-stakeholder settings, where we visualize all the information around a complex problem in a synthetic environment and build a game around that. And if you change something, let's say, within this model, you have immediately visual feedback of the things you are doing, right? So it's always facilitated by one of our facilitators, and we capture, let's say, everything that has been said during all the discussions. So mapping basically the decision tree. The Technology Exchange is an institute on serious gaming and process facilitation. So we are doing research on a number of topics: information visualization, serious gaming, and also human decision making. We started exactly 5 years ago. Actually, last week we celebrated our 50th anniversary. Originally we are a joint venture between Thales and the University of Twente. So Thales is one of the sponsors here today, and this is Thales Netherlands, and in particularly the research and technology from Thales. Sorry, this is better? Yeah? Okay. Okay. So this is also an open innovation climate in itself, right? So you have collaboration between the industry and people from the university. We have about 20 people, and half of them are on the payroll of Thales and the other half on the payroll of the university. But we're sitting together, let's say, physically in one lab. These are two of our lab environments we have in the Netherlands. This is called the Virtual Reality Lab at the University of Twente, and this is the Security Innovation Lab in Delft. So here we have two of those gaming tables, and here in Delft we have actually 3. Here you see some other labs basically built in part on our specifications. There's another lab in the city of De Heer in the Netherlands. There's a lab in South Africa, several battle transformation centers for Thales in all of Europe, and there's a big lab in Paris and one in Singapore. Conceptually, though, given the fact that we are a research institute, we try to understand and how to improve, let's say, multi-stakeholder assessment planning and decision-making processes. And this morning it was already touched upon, let's say, about getting tacit knowledge basically above the water. And the best to explain the difference between explicit and tacit knowledge is, let's say, suppose you have a book full of information on how to cook, let's say, a best meal. Maybe the restaurant in Madrid to cook this very nice piece of meal. If you just read the book and follow the procedures and go and get all the ingredients over, what do you think? Do you get the same dish as could be produced, let's say, by the master chef himself? Well, the answer is, of course, you wish, but it will not be the case, and we all know that. So we need to read between the lines somehow to really understand, let's say, how to make a dish like that. And the best thing to do that is get the cook, let the chef cook, come next to you, start a dialogue, start to practice what you are doing, and then make sure that you get all the information above the water, so you know exactly how to do when, what, and why. So that is bringing tacit knowledge basically above the table, and that's what we're trying to do, let's say, with our serious game systems. For those who are interested, the theoretical framework underlying this is what we call collaborative visual analytics, and basically 3 research topics are very relevant. That's what we call information visualization, serious gaming, and human reasoning. I shortly touch upon those topics. So human reasoning is of course very complex, and the brain is very complex as well, right? So what we are doing, we basically looking at how the human brain processes information, also how we make decisions as human beings, and then also in a multi-stakeholder setting, and it's becoming complex and complex. But what we know is basically that the decision-making systems within the human brain are basically 2. You can, a kind of an argument system and a kind of heuristic system, and it's a hybrid model, right? So view it as both, let's say, different sides of the same coin. Yeah? And depending on the time criticality that you have to make a decision, there's a bias against one of those systems. But both systems are very relevant. So what we do is we map, let's say, the decision-making process over time. So they're all reason-claim kind of combinations over time to make transparent, let's say, what the reasoning process is all about. Next to that, we also built what we call social mirrors, tapping something different. Basically, when you have all the people sitting around the table, there's a lot of, let's say, interactions between those people, which are also very relevant to come up to a final conclusion. So what we do is, we represent each person by an avatar. And if you talk more, your avatar gets bigger, right? If you interact with another person, there will be interaction lines associated, let's say, and represented that communication between one another. And if you agree more, yeah, your avatars becoming close together. And if you disagree more, they're coming further apart. So that's our approach, let's say, to map what's going on during the discussion. Not only, let's say, the non-verbal and the verbal behavior, but also the decision-making process. The gaming system is very important, and basically it gives you a, let's say, a very elegant way, in a playful manner, to do what-if kind of analysis, right? So we give him game mechanics, and we give him game rules, and we have the players as an integral part, let's say, of our game systems. And we do a lot of, let's say, visualization of the information, and we visualize that in a certain kind of metaphor. The interesting thing about games is that we view it as a dynamic information system. And by gameplay, you change the state of that model, and that allows, let's say, very simple interactions with that model, and you get immediately feedback of what you are doing.